Welcome to Waupaca Local Live. I'm Marcy Boku,
Yeah.
and this is Deb,
Deb Gerke.
Deb Gerke, and we have Mike Barden with us tonight in our faux studio, in our personal homes. I'm in my bedroom. Deb, where are you? You're in your
I'm
studio.
in our inner sanctuary where we do yoga and meditation and podcast and Wapaka Local Live.
Right. And Mike, are you in the basement?
I'm the basement, which is also my studio.
Studio.
So, yep.
So, welcome to Waupaca Local Live on Zoom. We're really
Thank
happy
you.
to be able to continue doing this show and have people like you. We're so grateful that you were able to do this with us. And
Yeah.
tonight, Mike is going to push our limits. You already saw that we did a music video. And Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about that first cut that we were able to witness? And normally I'd say here, but we also got to see the sound. And so
Right.
tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, it's something I learned how to do this summer. I've just been, I've been starting to, well, I started doing recordings like way early in spring, just random things that became an album called Transforma. But then beyond that, I kind of got the bug to just keep doing more recordings. And so that's one of the new ones. But then along the way, actually, I wasn't really doing this time last year, I was never making any video, like I never even knew how to make any video. But then my band, Boogie and the Yo-Yos, you might even remember this, when we stopped playing, we decided to make some of those like band videos, where you see everybody doing their parts and, so I took it upon myself to do that, which was a huge task. Those are a lot of work. But in the process, I learned how to make some videos. But then I also found a website that helps with like images, like the ones you saw in that last video. So you can actually assemble the images and play with it, edit until you get something that seems good. And so I like it,
That's cool. Do you have to pay for those images? Are they licensed or is it?
It's pretty cheap. So it's the thing is called Rotor, and basically like once you've done all your editing, it costs you like $25 to download the video.
Oh,
Yeah, which is pretty reasonable.
okay.
So yeah, that's how I made that and a bunch of other videos. So any videos of mine that you see that are for this music are made that way. So yeah, but thank you.
Very cool.
You're just like down your basement pumping out all of this multimedia stuff, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that reminds me a little bit. We had met a young woman at a songwriting workshop last summer that Deb facilitated with Hillary Reynolds. She was a teenager and she did a lot of music in her bedroom,
Yep.
which is how Billie Eilish operates. And
Hmm.
you think that we're seeing an uptick in that with the pandemic?
Oh
People,
yeah.
just going in their bedroom and making
Yeah.
alternative type stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've noticed because I've been doing digital recording for kind of a long time now.
Yeah.
Could be like around the 20-ish years range, and so I've just used the technology that's available, from the really yucky primitive stuff that was 20 years ago to like now, and it is like so much better now, and it's faster, you get more done, and also the quality of what they call plugins, or these just add-ons,
Right.
where you can get different types of sounds, different type of effects and stuff, is just so much better than it ever was. So yeah, not surprising. I mean, this music is actually on a laptop too. I mean, I'm using speakers and everything, but yeah.
So when you say
That's
it's on a
amazing.
laptop mic, but you're playing your keyboard to produce the music, or are you manipulating some sort of mouse to make? I'm so low tech. I mean,
Yeah, right.
Some sort of mouse.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good question, because you actually don't have to play an instrument. You
Yeah,
know, you can,
that's how the
yeah,
kids are doing it. That's how the
right,
musicians are doing it. They don't want to even take piano lessons, and I
right,
part of me feels like what,
yeah,
but it's their world, and I wouldn't be able to do what they're doing. It's just is so
yeah,
shocking, that you don't really have to play an instrument anymore.
right. And I just do, that's what I'm comfortable with, and I've played piano forever, and I'm just comfortable with it. So that's where I put in a lot of my sounds that way, just because I'm used to playing. But I also play guitar, and so
Right.
like any guitar parts you hear on mine, so I'm actually playing that on a real guitar. But like some other things I'm not playing, like you might hear like a bass guitar, and I'm not really playing that, and I'm not really playing drums, and there's like a bunch of other stuff that's
And
fake
when you're
too.
choosing those sounds, Mike, are
Yeah.
you choosing those through your keyboard and giving it an alternate sound, or are you doing that through a program on the
That's
computer?
mostly lately it's through the computer. So again,
Right.
with what they call plugins, so you can just drag and drop them.
But you're
Yeah.
still composing, you're still writing the music line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
cool.
For sure. Yep. It's just times change, and like the ways that people make sounds changes over time. It's just the way it is.
I remember when I was in seventh grade, which is like a million years ago, and in our music class, and I think I've shared this story before, so Deb, cut me off if you've heard it, but I remember our music teacher saying, in the future, they're not going to have instruments. It's just going to be synthesizers, and you won't need to play instruments. And I started like bawling, and I'm like, no. And I feel like we sort of haven't gotten there, but now I feel like we're kind of supercharging through that reality. Although I'm sure a lot of people are doing. I mean, sampling and all that kind of stuff is also in that sort of realm,
But
right?
you know what, though? At the same time, I also see, at the same time, there's also all this electronic domain stuff. But at the same time, I see many, many, many really good instrumentalists, and you know what I mean, really genuinely talented. Because in a way, kids growing up in this environment have like just more access to learn how to play. So that's why I see these brilliant like
Yeah.
4-year-old piano players, and like amazing like guitar players, that ordinarily in the past would take decades to develop, and now they're playing all this stuff by the time they're 16. So there's definitely real musicians at the same time. I don't think that's really lost. I think it's now they're just coming different
Also,
sectors.
I feel like, and I really want to talk to you about this. You mentioned, I think it's in your bio, about a stream of consciousness. I feel like this music that you're creating now, that's what it is. Somehow, and all musicians do this to a degree. You just tap into a zone,
Yeah.
and you hear the music complete. And I think that's what any composer does. But I think now, people who are starting to create music the way that you are, you hear all of those parts, and where before you may have been limited to being able to, not everybody has access to a full orchestra, or
Yeah.
all of the best players. And now you can, all of those sounds that are streaming through, you can find your own way to create those.
Yeah, very much. So the stream of consciousness part, what I mean by that is that a lot of this stuff, I'm building the pieces by playing spontaneously.
Right, you're
Mhm.
improvising.
I'm not even predicting how it's going to be, and then I just build from there. So that's kind of how I've been building. Even any of this music that you hear started with me just doodling on something, like maybe a guitar, and then building it from there. But to your other point, though, yes, very much so. Like as I'm in the process, because I do have a background in composition and arranging. I actually went to college for it and everything. Um, but But like, so now with the mixing tools, what you can do, it's really true. And again, with the quality of stuff, like you can keep shaping a tone and shaping a tone and shaping a tone, and just you have the ability to shape it until it's exactly, what you want it to be, which is awesome.
And your entire vision can come through that way.
Yes.
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah. And it's really fun. It's hard work still. Because a good example is I just did another one of these songs, just finished yesterday. And like I mixed it in my studio here, but then I'll go and listen to it in my home theater. And then I'll realize I want to make changes. And then I'll probably do like 20 more versions of it before it finally settles in and it sounds good to me on like the home theater and the car stereo and the headphones. You know what I mean? I put it through all those tests.
But you'd be doing that with a regular traditional recording too. I mean,
yeah.
Listen to it in your car. You're going to take it back and tell the engineer, da 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 da.
Yeah.
It really is. It's just that it's all on you.
Exactly. But what's sweet about it though is like I just run down in the basement and make it some, it's like I'm taking notes. Okay, I need less low frequencies on the guitar. I need to shave those off, and I need to turn this needs to go up a little bit louder. Make some adjustments, export it again, go listen to it out there. And it takes like 20 times, but then it's like done. And then I send it to my mastering guy.
Huh.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's amazing.
I've been really happy with the results.
Would you mind just defining for our audience, since we're getting so technical here?
Yeah, okay, sure, yeah.
I'm sure people are thinking, wow, I'm really learning a lot on this. Are you awarding college credit tonight, number one? And number two,
okay. Yes, absolutely.
$99.
I'm accredited.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
But how would you describe what mastering means?
Oh yeah, well, that's actually
It's mastering.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So when I'm working on my stuff, my part is mixing is where you're adjusting all the individual pieces of the music until it's finally balanced the way that you want it. Okay.
Okay.
Mastering is taking that mix and then it goes through a step that's actually more scientific than creative, because the creative part's basically been done. But in order to, mastering is the way to get it so it matches the formats that are available for listening. So if you're mastering to a vinyl or mastering to a CD or mastering to digital downloads or whatever it is, there's different specifications. There's like loudness levels, and there's also like just a basic level of balance and tone that overall that you'd like to have. So that's why that is actually for a lot of people that make music, mastering is something that like really should be done by somebody else, by a specialist, especially after I've listened to this so many times I can't listen to it any longer.
Right.
I just need to get fresh ears on it. And so I have this guy, he's a mystery. Actually, it was recommended to me by Mark Goldie.
Oh.
Yeah, because Mark said, here, this guy's the best. He's in Milwaukee. And so like every time I have a new song, I just send it over to him. And like a day or two later, he sends me back a master and it sounds awesome.
Wow.
So that's when you hear these videos, that's what you're hearing is the mastered version.
A lot of components go into all of this. You mentioned.
Yeah.
With the videos and little price tags on everything too, so it's not free.
This is also why I don't go anywhere or do anything because
this is your snowmobile, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, but that's not a good analogy, because if it was his snowmobile, none of us would be going for a ride. But doing this, we get to be along on the ride.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So how about another ride with another song? I think we can do that.
Okay, so we talked about doing one that we're actually play on.
Yes.
Right, so this one I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to play a background track here and then play it on the piano.
So
you hear the piano? Okay.
Yes. Mike, before you start, introduce the song with the title and tell us a little bit about it, please.
Okay. So this is, again, an unreleased thing. This is not part of what I worked on this summer. This one was I think literally just mastered like a couple days ago. I've called it Free, and it is kind of got a 70s kind of R&B sort of vibe to it, which is pretty kind of a feel good kind of vibe to it. So, you ready?
We all need to feel
Yes.
good. We're ready.
All right, cool.
Mike Barden, take it away.
So there you go. Could you hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're supposed to do this.
Oh, okay, got it. I turned my microphone. That's fine.
That was really nice.
I'm just always concerned that I play all that and nobody hears it. So I'm just
No,
glad.
everyone
I got
heard it, and it was
Okay,
beautiful.
sweet. Thank you. So yeah, that one's called Free. That was, I never had to play these live before, so I had to like basically learn how to play them live. So.
Within just a few days' notice,
Yeah,
because I know
exactly.
we've
Right.
been going back and forth, right? How are we going to do
Right.
this, Mike?
I
It's a
know, right?
testament. It's a testament to your creative talent,
You're
for
very
sure.
flexible too.
Yes.
And that's
Oh,
something
man.
that really kind of comes out, Mike sent us a really nice bio, just kind of his history, so that we could know who he was. And it's really an incredible bio, really. I mean, really, you have done so many things from playing in bands and working with schools and teaching lessons and leading like a worship group,
Mhm.
which is a whole another chunk of your life. You're a
Right.
composer. You've got is your master's in composition, or what is your?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I got a bachelor's degree in UW Stevens Point and it was a combined music and theory and composition. And then then I did go to University of Illinois for composition. And then I proceeded to do something that had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here
So
you
what was,
are.
Mike, what was the very first moment as a child when you knew that you were meant to be a musician?
It's just, I think it's funny. Like, I don't think there was a moment. It just never occurred to me that I would be interested in anything else
Yeah.
ever. So yeah, I was told, thankfully my parents kind of got wind of this. I have adoptive parents. They didn't necessarily have but they had some information that would indicate that I might be gifted in music. And so right away they agreed they got me an old junky piano that I could start taking lessons on, and I started taking lessons when I was 7 right away. So they thankfully gave me the opportunity to kind of start on that path. And I've just been on that ever since. And that's the whole thing. Like, even when it got to be, college and, the whole speech about you should do this as a vocation because you can't make a living at it. And I'm like, no, I just, and it's kind of true. I mean, I did eventually had to get a day job, eventually, but yeah, I'm just been really single focused that way.
That's beautiful. I mean, you knew your gifts right from the start.
Yeah.
What about, do you remember when was your first time you composed a piece of music?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I really have no idea. I think it was really, composition was like an interest, but it was really more just, I really just wanted to play and be good at what I did. And so I think really my motivation is more just to be a really good instrumentalist, and good with arranging and all the different aspects of music and everything. And so composition was maybe just one other part of it, or one piece. So I was really never driven to write music, but more just to be, I guess growing up in the 70s, so that's when it would have been my formative years. I guess my fantasy at that time would have been to be good enough and versatile enough to be in, say, Frank Zappa's band, so that would have been my goal maybe in the 70s.
So
Wow.
tell us what your playlist was when you were in high school, junior high, high school?
Oh gosh.
Zappa, really?
What's that?
You were listening to Frank Zappa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Cause I always just leaned more toward not the popular music. Actually, so when I was growing up in Eagle River, that's where I grew up in, and that's a little, at the time, especially, that's a little bit culturally distanced, It's not exactly in the middle of Madison, Milwaukee, or, so there was literally outside of just the polka stations and country that would be up there. Really, my exposure to anything other than that would have been the WIFC out of Wausau that was playing rock music at the time.
Yep.
And also my bus driver, who had tons of really hard rock 8-track tapes. So that's where I got and he played that's where I would have heard Kiss and Rush and Van Halen and Boston and all that other stuff. And that was
our engineers are gonna love that, because
Yeah.
that one of the guys, he is the biggest Kiss fan in the world.
Yeah. Right.
Wayne,
So that's
shout out to Wayne.
So that would have been but then, yeah, when I heard more sophisticated music, I got into that more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, Queen, and I loved all that stuff, David Bowie.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And you've played in a number of bands, which is sort of impressive too.
Yep.
Uptown, Unity, They're
Unity a little bit. Yeah.
pretty popular. Ask Your Mother.
Yeah. Ask Your Mother. Yeah.
They're still around, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Do you still sit in with any of these bands? Like if they need a guy?
Yeah. Yeah. Although, like, because, although there comes a point where you can't do it as much anymore because they've moved on in terms of what they play and you don't really know it anymore.
Jazz Orgy.
Jazz Orgy is easy to step into. And then actually another really kind of cool example is like River Cities Jazz out of Plover.
Right.
Because I was one of the original members of that band and I played with them for a long time and then just couldn't keep doing that any longer. So I quit for like 10 years or something. And then they started asking me back again and I'm like, okay. But I just fell right back into it. So they're playing all the same songs, and I kept
riding a bike.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so that's fun though. And like, Ask Your Mother, I'm really good friends with those guys. And if I'm like at a show, they'll say, here, come and play something,
But then it has, like another level where you've been asked to perform with Maynard Ferguson and Joe Piscopo, Father Guido Sarducci. What did you do with Father Guido?
Yeah,
I know. Curious.
Right. So yeah, exactly. What does that have to do with music? So for a while, I was on a list of musicians that would get called to play shows at the Lake of the Torches Casino. So that's what that's about.
Okay.
So what happens? Yeah. So what happens is that the performers come through with their shows, and sometimes they're hiring like local musicians. So at the time, like whatever year that was, they they put on this like supposedly a SNL reunion show. So it was like these three people from different eras of SNL. So, Father Guido was on there and Joe Piscopo, and then also Victoria Jackson was on there. And so they'd put on this stage show and they hired like the music director from New York City or whatever would come in but we'd be like in the band. So we'd have to learn all this music.
Fun.
And and so one of the funny things I remember, not funny, but like kind of cool moments, like I was like, we were dressed like in our tuxes or whatever. And so I'd be sitting at this grand piano, and then they had this routine where they'd all be like singing a little piece of song, they're like leaning on the piano and I'm like, and it was like part of their comedy thing, but it was the three of them and that was pretty cool. And then actually one of the really memorable things I did was play in a band that supported Joan Rivers. So again, not a musical show, but like, you're hired as a musician to play and like literally she has like 5 minutes, not even maybe like a minute of walk-on music. And it does a show, and then like a minute of walk-off music.
Oh.
And the same song. It's a Colonel Bogey March. That's it. And then we sit up there though through the whole show,
So funny.
Yeah.
Didn't you get to put musical punctuation marks at parts? Like if she said something, then would you? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, nothing like that. Hell no. Nope. No, she was just
funny things you can do as a musician that you can say, you can bask in the glory and the glamour of being a musician.
Yeah.
You find out what people are actually doing as their side gigs. They're hilarious things like that.
Yeah, it's been cool opportunities for sure.
One time I had to play the organ for a magic show.
Yeah.
And the guy and I saw like all the nasty tricks he did. I was playing and watching. I'm like, that's how they do that.
Right.
Did you have to sign a disclosure before you did that, Marcy, where you wouldn't give his secrets away?
I told everybody.
Oh my gosh.
You know that when they pulled the rabbit out of that.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so I want to know what you did with Kool and Gang.
Oh, that was a cool thing. So again, it was kind of a combined show. And we did this with Boogie and the Yo-Yos. So this was a thing that they were contracted for. And so this was like, I don't know, maybe like 2 winters ago, because it was in Key Biscayne off of Florida. Mm-hmm. So it's in this real ritzy, like high-end opulent part. And so there was a corporate party there. And so Boogie was hired for this thing. So we flew down. But the deal is they had their corporate whatever for this company and then they would have their party. And so we were part of the attraction, but the other part of it is that they have three former singers from like very popular bands. So they weren't necessarily the most recent singers or anything like that. So for that night we worked with, well, actually one of them was the guy from the Romantics.
I saw that too.
Yeah, the guy who wrote What I Like About You. So he was there, and then Skip was one of the singers from Kool and the Gang, and then also one of the singers from Santana was there too. So he was like a guy that was more like in the, I don't remember what era he was, maybe like 90s or whatever. Yeah, I think he was like 90s. Anyway, so Boogie, our band, Boogie and the Yo-Yos, we had to learn like 11 songs that were, we had to learn Santana songs like, exactly right, and and Kool and the Gang songs exactly right, and romantic songs, which are much easier, exactly right. And so then we did this show with all three of those guys, and so that was fun too. It was another great opportunity. And then we played, and honestly, I want to say I think we did just as well as our own band as we did with all these guest artists.
It's funny that we're talking about all the famous people you play with, but I think in our next segment after our next song, you're the highlight. I mean, you're the person that's doing all these fantastic things, plus composing music, producing music, teaching music. I mean, you're just really everything you can think of with music, you're doing it, and it's just such an honorable thing. And I'm very impressed with you. I've always been impressed with you.
Thank you.
You run sound, which is oh so important.
Yeah. I love doing that too. It's just a completely different perspective, when I do that with Wheelhouse or.
Yeah. Well, and you always show up at the summer night concerts. It's just, it's like if I see your face, I'm like, oh, good, they got sound.
Right.
All right. So what's your song going to be here?
I don't know. What is it?
Your next one's going to be Release the Past. Watch another one of your cool videos.
That's right. This is a video. Yep. So
set us up. Tell us kind of what inspired this. And then when we come back, I think we should talk even more about this 2020 pandemic time and how you started what you're doing, what inspired this. But take us into the song.
Sure. Okay. So the name of this one is Release This Past. So this is one that I did do this summer, and it is on my album Transform, which while I'm at that, you can get this, and you should get this at MikeBardenMusic.com. So order a copy there. But anyway, this is one of the tracks from it. As I was getting this released into Spotify and online distribution, this was actually the most popular and the most successful track that I had, because it seemed to most closely fit a particular genre, which they call ambient or down tempo. Gosh, it was the thing about this album, Transforma, was that like these pieces of music, like so that piano part that you just heard was literally, it was just a pure improvisation. There was no plan going into it. I just started playing, and it is what it is. And then I added just the other layers to just kind of, you know, fill it out and give it some extra depth. Okay. So I didn't have a title in mind. I didn't have an image in mind. I had like nothing in mind. I just played. And then as I was putting the album together, I really wanted to kind of unify the songs in like a kind of a concept, even though they weren't written that way. You know, there's just literally just all different things that I did over the summer. There was no album really even in mind, but I just decided to squash them together and make an album. But part of that was like, that actually kind of led to the whole Transforma idea, because it really was related to what we were all kind of going through, what I was going through personally, because we were all kind of hit with something that we didn't expect, didn't want, that was really, really disruptive, and that drastically changed things in a way that really none of us wanted it to be.
Right.
And so as what would happened with me, and really for many of us, but just my own journey, was like that became a catalyst for doing new things and stepping into new areas, and in process being transformed by something that you didn't really want to happen in the first place, if that makes any sense.
Well,
So
I just love this. I love what you're saying. Keep going.
so the Transforma, like really nobody probably except me like sees the album this way, but I like actually see it as kind of a concept album. It's starting from disruption and working all its way up to infinite possibilities. So that's really the flow of the album. And so part of that is Release the Past, which is the part where you're processing something like some kind of grief, you know, something bad that happened, or something that just stuck in your mind that's really kind of ruining your thinking. And those things, you know, as we all know, but it's hard to practice, is just to release those things because they passed. And so, yeah, I just decided to spell it a little differently to make it, you know, but it's all the same message of just letting go of stuff.
Yeah.
Love it.
You know, so yeah, well, thank you.
And
Yeah, I think it's been so. Oh, go ahead, Marcy.
I love the visuals too, and I just thought, you know, I've listened to some of your other cuts too, and I really like. It's totally a concept album. It all does flow together, and
That's what I worked
guess
hard
I
to
would
do.
recommend people to, you know, if they're feeling stressed, just put a couple of your tunes on and listen and watch. It's very relaxing.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I hope. You know,
What
that's
I love is that there's no words.
yeah,
I write songs, but you know, I love instrumental music because I think
yeah,
it doesn't lead you anywhere really. It's more kind of gut level, DNA level, physiological relaxation, and your mind can process what it needs to without words leading you anywhere.
yeah.
You take your own journey with it. That's what's cool. So then the journey is unique to each person who's experiencing the music.
Exactly. Yeah, I really like that. And I've always leaned more toward instrumental music than vocal. I can write lyrics and vocals, you know what I
I
mean?
was
But that's
wondering if you ever have. I'm curious.
yeah, I can.
Give
It's
us
never
the worst title you've ever written. The worst topic.
I've not written enough songs to have a worse title. Like, honestly, no, and I never write anything bad.
I was just gonna
Oh, well,
say,
there.
I like your answer, Mike. Don't
I
own
don't
what she just asked.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so no, I will only like write lyrics if I like feel there's a like maybe somebody's paying me to write lyrics or something. You know what I mean? It's not where my honestly, yeah, it's not where my head goes. I don't think poetically. I think in terms of aesthetic image. And so like I love abstract stuff, so that's why you see a lot of abstract imagery. So that's kind of art that I like.
Yeah.
And so this is just my way of you know, and it being abstract. Yeah.
So speaking of abstract art, you're wearing a T-shirt that you're kind of covering up with your zippy hoodie. So
Okay,
that's a T-shirt. Yeah, show us.
Yeah, it is.
Please.
Yeah. So yeah, these are available.
This is a Superman moment. It's a total Superman moment.
So this is my Transforma T-shirt, and then this is a little diamond logo that I made up for that I use on everything.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We know
so you can get T-shirts, and there's like even coffee cups and hats and all that kind of weird stuff you can get.
And
there.
they can find all of that awesome Mike Barden swag at
MikeBardenMusic.com. Yep, everything. That's right.
That's awesome. So these shapes that you work with, this is like, because that's it's a passion of mine, working with different shapes.
Oh, okay.
So if I say sacred geometry, does that mean anything to you?
No.
It will after tonight.
Okay.
Because by way of Google.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, now I have something to look up.
You do. That's your homework. We'll talk, next week. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I can dig it. Yeah.
So you've got your album, which has been released, but you're also right away working on more stuff. Is your new stuff going to automatically go on to Spotify, or how does that work? Are you going to just release it on your website?
This process was really formative for me, because not only did I make an album, but like through the process I decided that I would probably not make an album again. That like, because of the way that the music industry and the way that people listen to music today, there's hardly any reason to make an album.
Yeah.
And so it's much better. I've learned to just release one song at a time and have people follow along and, look forward to the next thing that you're doing. So from now on, I'm releasing singles one at a time, but I'm going to do it in a very, a really specific way that brings people along and helps people know what's going on. I'm also changing my artist name. So this is something I want people to know too, because you can find me on Mike Barden Music on Facebook, and that's my handle for like YouTube or Instagram and any of that stuff. But with this new music, and any of the new music that I've done tonight is all under this new alias, and the new alias is called I-I. And so that's what I want you to look up. And I'm going to be building the Instagram page and the Facebook page and the YouTube page and all that stuff. But it's just me. I'm not trying to keep my identity a secret or anything, but it's just like a persona that I want to work with.
I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. So what inspired that?
Well, gosh, it's kind of actually a philosophical statement, or I guess, and I think you're probably picking up with your background in meditation, yoga, and whatnot. But so the simplest way that I'll put it is, and it's spelled like the letter I, and the word minus spelled out, and then the letter I. So it's not like the sign or the I that is in your head. So I minus I, and it is the simplest way to put it. It is that living life from the timeless I rather than the transient I. So that begs a lot of questions. I understand, but I think you get it. And so like, I like it because it begs questions and it creates a conversation, but it's just a path that's been really helpful to me personally. And so I just decided to hang my hat on that. But it also plays into the music too, because the music is, like I said, the way that I'm writing this music is I'm not writing it with a forethought in mind of how it's going to come out. I'm just starting with a thing and just sort of letting the music flow, and then it turns into whatever it turns into. So anything that you hear me playing tonight is not something I really planned. It just came out that way, and I like it that way.
I want to do that with you.
Okay.
We'll talk more.
All right. Okay.
That sounds so exciting.
Yeah.
And you could have a project that's I minus I equals presence.
There you go. Yeah, I like it.
I like it.
But I'm probably going to be using, go ahead.
Do we have to call you I minus I, or do we call
No,
you
you can call me, it's not that's not the artist formerly known as Mike Barden, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah, no, you can call me Mike. That's fine.
What are your kids gonna call you?
The kids don't even know or care anything about this. You know how that goes.
How old are these kids?
The kids are in their early 20s.
Yep.
Okay.
So one's in college and one just graduated college, and they don't,
Right.
they're off on their own, and you know how that goes. Like they don't necessarily pay attention to all the nuance of what's going on in my life necessarily.
You might find, I have a sense,
will
somewhere down the road, they're going to be like, man, our
Yeah.
dad is so cool.
And only hope.
Oh, my
It's
goodness.
been a great. I don't know. I just feel like we could keep talking for 2 hours, but our producer
Yeah.
is not like that.
Yeah.
We got to one more song, right? We're doing.
We want to
Yes.
do one more song. Is there anything that you want to make sure that you get that message out tonight? I'm just looking at your.
Yeah, buy Transforma on vinyl.
Oh, yeah, that's
talk
right.
about that. You want us to talk?
Yeah,
about
buy the vinyl, even if you don't have a record player, because it's a great keepsake. And it's the only vinyl I'm ever going to do. And yes, so go to Mike Barden Music and order vinyl. You get the CD with it. You'll get the download with it.
Oh, really?
I'll just throw in everything. I just want to
Is the
basically.
vinyl itself a really cool color?
Yeah, well, it's actually, I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah,
This
show
is,
us.
yeah, well, this is not the vinyl.
No,
This
that's
is,
not. It would be very small.
right, but this is, that's the cover. It's actually a pretty cool
Yeah,
cover.
it is. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and
So
that's
is that
kind
again from that service that you downloaded just the images from? Is that one of
no, you know what? Actually, this kind of has a cool story to it.
Uh-huh.
So, like,
Looks like a crystal.
it is. So, I'll tell you exactly. Okay, now we're gonna run over time, but so
Josh will just cut out the part that he doesn't want to be in the
Right.
final. And all the people who are here with us right now, they're like, yeah, tell us one more story.
no,
So
I
it's all
actually
good.
I love the story of this picture on the front. So it is a crystal, like you said. So when I was doing, that was the kind of image I just basically did a Google search. It was crystal images. That's what I was looking for. And so I found this image that I really liked, and I did alter it. I had colored, I messed with it to get it to look the way that it does. But then the guy that was helping me, Kevin Chabot, who's, I love that I'm shouting him out because he's my former bandmate from Ask Your Mother, but also a graphic artist. And he helped me. I needed help formatting the graphic art for the vinyl because it had all these specifications, which are above my head. And so Kevin helped me with that. And then he had asked the smart question, do you have permission to use this picture?
Yeah, that is kind of a small importance.
Yeah, it is. And so I'm like, no, but I'll see what I could do. So then I actually found it, and where I found it, it was actually on an Etsy listing.
Oh.
So this person was selling these crystals on Etsy. So I contacted her and I said, hey,
So you bought the crystal.
right. It's like an $80 crystal. So no, I didn't buy it, but but they looked really nice. But anyway, I contacted her, and she was really nice about it. Actually, she's it's a lady in her 70s, and she sells these out in Southern California. And she said, yeah, it's fine if you just send me a CD. So I'm like, yeah, I can live with that.
Oh.
But then I learned, and then I said, it was a low res image. So I said, do you have the original album, the original image, so we could use that instead? And she said, no, because I lost everything in one of these California fires out here, and so that was part of what I lost. And so she had to rebuild. And then then she sent me an article. So there's this article for her in the local paper about how she, lost everything and rebuilt in her 70s and all this stuff. And so it was actually just a really perfect image of exactly what I was trying to get across,
Totally.
in the album anyway. So I'm like, there's all that meaning.
And you sent her a copy, I
Yeah,
hope.
of course.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And then I'm credited her. So you see, I credit her, and you can find her Etsy listing. So, if you want to go buy her crystal, go buy her crystal,
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's a cool story.
That is.
Very cool. Before we head into the last song that you're going to share with us, I just want to give big thanks to our Facebook Live crew, our audience that's with us tonight. Jill says, always a pleasure to see you, Mike. I'm watching from Florida.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, Jill Michael. Yeah, cool.
Yep. And Tim, who must be relation, same last name as you, Barden.
Yeah,
he says he's impressed too.
That's nice.
Because Marcy said she
Finally.
was impressed before, and Tim
That's
says
funny.
he's impressed
He
too.
literally called me in the
In the middle of the show?
middle of this, and I'm like,
Really?
come on, really?
Is it your brother?
Yeah, he called me. I'm like, yeah, my
I
brother.
put
It's
it-
my brother. He was in.
Brothers are like that.
Yeah, just hold
they're
on
all
a
like
sec.
that.
I'll just yeah. What's up, Tim?
Right.
Oh,
In the middle of the show?
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm on the show right. Yeah, so I'll talk with him a little bit later.
that's great. Oh, he's laughing. He just posted LOL.
Oh, nice.
It's good to know you're still with us, Tim. Way to go.
Right.
I did ask if there were any questions from the audience, and no one asked a question, but everybody's giving you big thumbs up
Okay.
and saying, great show. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And, I'd like to also thank our producers on 96.3 radio station and 99.1 have been just tremendously supportive. In a small town, to be playing local music and original music consistently, not only with our show, but with just on their own. And I think that that's the kind of support that musicians need to know exists. Even if it is a small town, I think it's just something that we should all be proud of. And I just want to say I'm really proud of you, Mike Barden.
Thank you.
I'm proud to know you. It's awesome.
Yay.
Great.
Thank you.
And,
Yeah, it was
and
so
thank
great.
you, Deb, for being a co-host. And
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you for being a co-host.
you're welcome. So what are we going to
So much gratitude in the room.
Yes. What are we going to head out with? I think it's
Okay.
Mike's music that's affected us. I don't know.
I think so too.
So this is another one of the new ones. So this isn't from Transforma. It's probably the second one I did under I-I. It's cool. It's again, it's like a little bit of a R&B kind of groove to it here.
Cool.
My brother, if he's still listening, I think actually I had the same thought. It sounded a little bit like Barry White to both of us. So, but just
Very White.
yeah, right.